Welcome to the Mentor Me Kelly Show. I'm your host, Kelly Charles Collins. I'm also affectionately known as the Speaker Mogul. Now, on this show, you will get a behind-the-scenes look as I mentor and provide strategic guidance to women speakers, experts, and thought leaders to elevate their speaking business. I'll do this using our P6 framework: positioning, prospecting, pitching, pricing, packaging, and presentation skills. So listen in as they ask questions and I give answers. But don't just listen. Take notes, take action, and subscribe so you never miss an episode. Let's get started. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Mentor Me Kelly Show. So I'm really excited about this show. I wanted to start this because I want to help women, especially women experts, speakers, thought leaders, really move the needle in this speaking business, right? We know that the speaking business is a billion-dollar industry. The corporate training industry is, in the United States, over $100 billion industry. And so there's room, right? There's room and there's money to be made. And women thought leaders, women experts, women speakers are in demand. The problem is, we don't really understand our value. A lot of us don't understand our value. We don't know, what to charge. We don't know what we're speaking about. We don't even really understand our expertise. And so for me, for those of you who don't know me, I'm Kelly Charles Collins. I am the CEO of HR Legally Speaking, where I am a professional speaker, so a keynote speaker and a corporate trainer. And I'm also the CEO of Speaker Moguls. And in Speaker Moguls, I really work with women thought leaders to help position, package, and present them on stages and in corporate workplaces so that they can create impact, influence, and income. It takes work, and we use our P6 framework to do that. And as I was thinking about how I could help women in this space, and my mission is really to ensure that women's value is not erased. So how could I do that? How could I do that for women who are not yet ready to be in my thought leader circle, which is my 12-month program, or to work with me in another way? And I thought about, well, I could start this Mentor Me Kelly show where I could give women the opportunity to ask me these questions. Because sometimes it's just that one question, right? It's just like that one thing that you need to know. So today, I'm so happy to have our very first guest on Mentor Me Kelly, and her name is Cassandra Hill. And so how are these shows going to work? They're really just you getting a behind the scenes look of a mentoring session, a coaching session. So I'm going to have Cassandra introduce herself, and then what we're going to do is just chat. I've told her to get prepared, have whatever questions she wants to ask. They'll really be focused on our 6 Ps, which are positioning, prospecting, pitching, pricing, packaging, and presentation skills. So anywhere in those, which is basically everything about speaking. So yeah, Cassandra, welcome.
Welcome. Thank you so much for inviting me on this stage. It's truly an honor. I've been knowing you for a few years now, and seeing your growth as a speaker, it's been amazing to watch, and I'm so excited to be on this show with you today.
Awesome. All right. So Cassandra, tell the people who you are. So in terms of a speaker, like who you are, what do you speak about, what your area of expertise is, so that they get a sense. So as we're going through the questions, they have some context.
Sure. Me as a speaker, you'll find me on stages, typically speaking on women's empowerment, inspiration, as well as health and wellness, particularly in regards to Black women's health.
Okay. And what's your background for that?
I am a holistic health practitioner. I'm also a master life coach, wellness coach, and I have a master's degree in gerontology. And you're probably thinking, what in the world is that? And it basically means I specialize in the study of aging, helping individuals to be proactive about the aging process.
Yeah. The reason I ask these things, Cassandra, and really for you even to think about, is sometimes we don't think about who we are, right? And what gives us the level of authority to speak about the things that we want to speak about. So like we're like, oh yeah, I speak about health and wellness and I speak about women's empowerment, right? And so people are like, okay, great, but who are you and why should I listen to you? What is the context through which I get to listen to you as an authority on these subjects? So I always want you to be thinking about that. Like when you're, whenever you're introducing yourself or whenever, think about how you can roll in your expertise around those things that people aren't just like, oh, you're just like everybody else who, speaks about these things. So that's just a little tidbit for you. But
Yes.
go ahead.
And I almost forgot that I am a graduate of the Cornell University, where I received my certification in women's entrepreneurship.
So see, you have to start thinking about those things, right? And always be keeping that in the forefront so that people will listen to you differently. They listen differently. So for example, I'm a retired employment law trial attorney. I always lead with, if you ever like my signature, I'll lead with attorney, speaker, author, strategic consultant, right? Because people have a different listening, right? So somebody like you who has a master's degree, who you have these certifications, always make sure that whenever you're talking about yourself, that somehow you get that stuff in there, right? So that people have a different listening for who you are. So, all right. So let's get started. Like, talk to me. The stage is yours. I'm here to answer your questions, to guide you, to give you some strategy, and just to really help you. So I'm turning it over to you.
All right. I know for me as a speaker, yes, I'm getting booked and I'm getting paid. However, I know that my pricing needs to come up. Now, for me as a being leveraging becoming a keynote speaker, I want to make sure that I have key assets that an event planner or organizer would be expecting from a keynote speaker. Can you give some insight on what I should have in my arsenal as a keynote?
Okay, but before we get there, I want to back up with you, right? Because I did ask you to send me some information. I did see that you wanted to be a keynote speaker, and you told me that you were speaking before. Let's talk about that first. Let's do the context
Okay.
around that and the framing around that so that I understand, and then we'll go forward. So, when you say that you have been speaking, where have you been speaking? What types of events have you been doing?
I've been doing retreats. I've been doing virtual workshops. I've been doing in-person events. I've spoke at conferences, from aging conferences where, I'm speaking to a good number of people. And I've done events towards small, intimate as well.
Okay, so now tell me why you want to make the transition, or what is it in your mind that says keynote is different, or that's something that I want to do.
Well, I would say probably for the past, I know at least 6 months, I've spoken at events and get the audience feedback, and it's great and everything. And I've had a few people reach out to me and ask, when are you hosting your own event? I would love to attend your own event. And I'm like, well, I really hadn't started hosting my own events yet. And so just partly based off that, hearing multiple people request that of me. And then I feel I've invested in myself in speaker development to where I feel as a keynote speaker, I will be able to command a higher speaker fee.
Okay, so tell me where that comes from. Tell me first what you believe a keynote speaker is, and then tell me why you think that as a keynote you would have a higher fee than as what you've been doing for speaking.
I feel, to me, a keynote speaker is recognized as being the expert in their field. They're the thought leader. They're They're like for me, for Black women wellness, I should be top of mind for my ideal audience. And then I feel as a keynote speaker, it's not just when you're on stage, is when the event is over, you have resources to really spark real transformation in your audience.
Okay. Can I give you some information to kind of give you a perspective shift?
Sure.
Okay. So, and the reason I asked you what you think about being a keynote speaker is because in this industry, what I find is that people are not clear on what these terms are, right? And so, what I want you to think about is that a keynote is a delivery method. It's a way that you deliver, right? As opposed to doing maybe a workshop, or doing consulting, or doing, training. Training and workshops are kind of the same. Training and breakout sessions are kind of the same, right? It's just a delivery method. Right. So the keynote speaker generally is the person who either starts the event or ends the event. So they're the bookends, and they're the people who get everybody excited and kind of set the groundwork. And then the person at the end who kind of wraps it all up and gets people hyped up to come to the event again. Right. In between that, at conferences, you'll have people who do workshops. Sometimes the workshops are longer, so they might be 2 hours. They're generally not much longer than that when you're talking about a workshop. And when you're talking about a conference, unless it's like pre-event conference, where sometimes they'll have 4-hour workshops. So it's more interactive. And then you'll have people who do breakout sessions. So those breakout sessions are usually 60 minutes. They sometimes could be 90 minutes, right? So those are the types of speaking that happen inside of a conference. Outside of a conference, like when you're doing training for a corporation, you could still do keynotes, right? Just depending on how they want you to do it. You could still be a keynote speaker for a corporation. You could still be doing a workshop. You could still be doing training. You could still be doing a breakout session. So those are just delivery methods, right? So one of the things that you said is that you thought that as the keynote, that you're the thought leader. The keynote doesn't make you a thought leader. You are a thought leader. You may just be delivering your thought leadership as a keynote. You might be delivering your thought leadership as a breakout session. You might be delivering your thought leadership as a workshop. You see? So the thought that you being a thought leader has nothing to do with the delivery method, right? You get to choose how you like to deliver. Some people don't want to be keynotes at all, right? And so when people are saying to you, hey, Cassandra, you should have your own event. Well, at that event, you could be the keynote. You could be the host. Like I'm doing an event in March. I'm the host. The speakers are my speakers in my program, but I'm the host. I'm not speaking, right? So it just depends. It doesn't take away from the fact, though, that I'm a thought leader, right? So thought leadership is what's in here. Like it's what's in here and how you deliver that information, right? So I don't want you to, people get stuck on that. The other thing I want you to think about is people think that you can only get paid a lot of money if you're a keynote, right? Because you said that they would have, it's like more money. I think I forget the exact wording you said, but you can get the same amount doing a workshop or a training or however you want to call it, a 60-minute, 90-minute session for a corporation sitting virtually or in their organization as you could on the stage as a keynote, right? Everybody wants to be a keynote speaker because that's what we've heard. Like, oh, I'm a keynote speaker. Everybody wants to be that. And so we get so tied up in that. But if you think about what I'm saying to you about keynotes, there's an opener and there's a closer. Sometimes they'll have a lunch. So in an event, there's only really two spaces for that. Now, I'm not talking
Yeah.
you out of it. Those are things to aspire to if you want to be a
Yeah.
keynote speaker. But I just want you to not attach keynote speaker with some level of elevation that is beyond you, and that you don't think that you have the thought leadership, right, to actually do whatever it is that you want to do and to command the fees that you want to
Yeah.
command, right? So the fees and being able to command what you want to command has to do with positioning, right?
Yeah.
It has to do with your positioning, it has to do with your branding. It has nothing to do with whether you're going to deliver it as a keynote or as a workshop. Does that make sense?
It does. It makes perfect sense because as you were talking, I was thinking I'm already a thought leader. Like my expertise, I have it. No one can take that from me. And whatever delivery I speak, whether it's like right now, speaking at a summit, doing a workshop, or when I do become a keynote, it my knowledge is my knowledge. So yeah, that makes sense.
Exactly, right? And so we get tied up in the title and not understanding it. And so now we've attached something to that, right? That takes away from who you already are,
Yeah.
right? It's just how you deliver it. Oh, you want me to do a keynote? Okay, great. You want to call it a keynote? I can call it a workshop, whatever. What do you want me to do? This is what you need me to do? Okay, this is how I'm going to deliver. You want me to be at the beginning or at the end? Okay, great. You want me to be in a breakout? Now, the thing to understand is that in those conferences, generally the keynotes are paid and then the breakouts are not paid. It doesn't mean that you can't make money,
Oh,
right? Because if you think about those conferences and if you're really intentional, then you will speak at those conferences doing breakouts because your ideal audience is there, your paying audience is there, right? So you could do a breakout, you can rub shoulders and elbows and everything with everybody who's there, right? So the opportunity is there. So I think people get tied again to, oh, I want to be a keynote speaker, I don't want to be a breakout. Well, a breakout, you can make as much, even not more money on the
yeah.
back end, right? Because you have now multiple people, right? So the thing about speaking is that it's marketing,
Yeah.
right? It's all about marketing who you are to your ideal client. So I wanted to give that to you. Any questions around that? Any questions or need clarification or anything around that?
You have opened my mind because really I looked at it as I feel like I'm a really good speaker. However, I feel I was discounting myself because I haven't done a keynote yet. And that doesn't take away from me as a speaker.
It
So
absolutely does not.
yeah.
It does not, right? Because you are who you are. What's in your brain is in your brain, right? And so the other thing that you mentioned was having resources to spark real
Mhm.
transformation. Talk to me about that. What do you mean by that?
I think of when I hear like people I consider like really great speakers. Typically, I'll take Les Brown for example.
Mhm.
I go hear Les Brown, in which right now I'm taking a class from Les Brown. You know, you hear him, he's great, and that's wonderful. However, afterwards, when I get back home and into real life, I need guidance. I need resources to continue this transformation that happened at the event.
Mhm.
And so I think of that, okay, you know that yes, you can motivate someone and inspire them and it'll change their mood while they're there. But if you're looking for long lasting transformation, they need something beyond that event.
Mhm. Yes. So one of the things, so I always talk about, and when I work with my speakers, I'm always talking to them about making sure that they're activating people. right? So many people are so like, oh, I'm going to motivate you. I'm a motivational speaker. I'm an inspirational speaker. Well, as you said, that only goes so far, right? Because what happens? We go to these events, we get motivated, we get inspired, we leave, and life be life. And so then we're just like, I don't know what y'all was talking about. I know it's written down in that notebook. I can't go find it. I'm not going back to find it.
Yeah.
So we're always talking about like activation, right? And
Mhm.
when you talk about resources, one of the things I call my resources continuity assets, right? So that's the name that
Okay.
I give to them is continuity assets. So those are things like books and workbooks. And you see behind me,
Mhm.
like these are this is a card deck that I developed, right? So
Mhm.
you can think about what does that look like? It could be a PDF resource, right? It could be an
Mhm.
ebook, it could be anything
Mhm.
that you want to develop, right, for them that allows them to continue their learning. One of the things you always want to be mindful of, though, is this is also your intellectual property. So, how much of it are you putting out into the world? Now, my book has my frameworks, it has everything in there. That's fine. You just need to know like what it is that you want to give to them for them to continue. Continuity could also be a coaching program. It could be a masterclass. It could be a retreat. It could be any number of things. It's what your
Mhm.
imagination,
Yeah.
right? It's only limited by your imagination. And again, the lack of an additional resource does not impact your thought leadership,
Yeah.
right? It is
Yeah.
a value add to your thought leadership. So for your potential clients, if you said, hey, I also have this book or I have this PDF or whatever, it's a value add. It's another thing you can sell.
Yeah.
Right. But it doesn't
Yeah.
take away from your thought leadership. It just confirms it and enhances it and amplifies it. It affirms it. Right. So as you start to think about the resources, think about what you would want to create.
Yeah. Right now I have digital courses, my books, and then I have ebooks. And
So you have the resources.
I would like to add retreats this year because, like I said, I've had so many people ask me about an event. And last year I spoke at a retreat, and I was the keynote. Now that I think about it, I was the keynote speaker for the retreat, and they loved it. Matter of fact, they invited me back to speak again. But
They paying you. They need to pay you.
they did pay me. They
Okay.
paid me
Did it
pretty
have a
good.
comma? Did it have a comma and some zeros?
It had one comma.
Okay, that's okay. One
Had one
comma.
comma.
Okay, as
Yeah,
long as it
had
has a
one
comma
comma.
and some zeros.
Yeah. Yeah,
Good.
had one comma, but I'm ready for more.
Hmm. Yeah. So again, see, you just remembered I was the keynote speaker. It's just a delivery method. That's
Yeah.
all it is. It doesn't make it
Yeah.
any right. And we forget that. And like, even when you're just saying, oh, you said, oh, I need resources to spark real transformation. Then you're like, oh, I got a book, ebook, and I got this, and I got a master. You have the resources. What we don't think about, we create things and we put them aside. We don't think about that we have these things. We don't remember that we have these things. The other thing, too, though, is that sometimes we just create things and we don't create them in any connection to what it is. So if you're a thought leader around women's empowerment and health and wellness, and those are the things that you want to be known for, that's how you want to be positioned, right, in the
Mhm.
speaking world, then as you're thinking about, okay, how do I help them to move, to really activate, to really do something beyond the 45 minutes, the 60 minutes, the 90 minutes that I have with
Mhm.
them, I have these things, but are they aligned? Do they make
Mhm.
sense? Right. So,
Yeah.
in the era of the pandemic, everybody was like, just create a digital this and create a ebook and on whatever, right? Whatever the
Yeah.
whatever the issue of the day was, right? We would have. But
Yeah.
as a thought leader, you have
Mhm.
to think about, okay, this is what I want to speak about. Here's how I'd like them to continue the journey. Do these things align? Do these resources align? So what I would encourage you to do is to go back and look at all of these things that you have created and see where do these things, because you already have it. You already have the resources apparently.
Yeah.
Or you may need to update something or you want to add something on, but first take inventory of what you already have.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I definitely, because right now I have I had to think about it. I have 4 digital courses, and I feel they flow. It makes sense. Um, One, mindset reset, and that's more on your well-being mentally, emotionally, and me as a holistic health practitioner, I feel like if you're not your physical health, you could drink green smoothies, these juices I love, but if this is not healthy, you will not be healthy.
Right.
So that's why I did that course. And then I have one self-care boot camp for entrepreneurs. I have one specifically for Black women, unlocking the new true authentic you. And this on just loving the skin you're in. And then I have goal setting boot camp, and it's how to make sure your goals align with keeping this healthy and still showing up as a boss in your business.
Yeah.
So
And
I think I have the
go ahead.
synergies there to where it matches my audience, but I do need to um, work on tweaking probably some of my ebooks.
Okay. And then the thing is also, right? So people also don't, speakers also don't think about like packaging, like how do I package all of this information? So you were talking about like, charging and wanting to charge more. Um, that's part of, so all the things that I talk about, the positioning and the packaging and all that goes together, right? You have to be positioned well. I always say you want to be positioned in the penthouse of your client's mind, right? Not hanging out in the lobby with everybody else. But that comes with your branding, that comes with your thought leadership, right? Elevating your authority out in the world. It comes with understanding how to package, right, your expertise for your potential client, right? And understanding who that potential client is, really understanding what their problems are and how you're the solution to it, and then packaging that stuff for them so they're like, oh yeah, I'm gonna hire Cassandra instead of hiring this person over here, even if Cassandra's price is higher. So that's part of it too, right? One of the things about speaking, and I think some people do a disservice in terms of how they help people, help speakers, is not helping them to understand like the back end of this business, right? So one of the things that when I work with my clients, I talk to them about CEO versus talent. What most people do is talk to you at the level of talent, the person who's on the stage, as opposed to the behind the scenes, who's behind the talent. There's a CEO, and you might be all these people, right? Because of our businesses, where a lot of us are solopreneurs. So your CEO, your sales, your marketing, your HR, your operations, your finance, you are all the things, right?
Yeah.
But if we think of ourselves in a business way, right, and that we're having a business to business conversation, then as opposed to I'm a talent, and so I'm kind of like the consumer and I'm talking to a business, you'll have different thought processes around how you put things together and how you show up in spaces. And so instead of worrying about like, oh, I want to be the keynote speaker, no, I want to be paid for my expertise. This is how much I'm going to be paid, and this is how much I'm demanding to be paid, because this is the value, right, that I bring to the table. And I'm just gonna, again, the delivery is me as talent showing up to give you what I promised and what we bargained for.
Mhm.
Let's see.
Yeah, great, great. Oh man, I feel like a sponge right now, just taking this all in, y'all. And I promise you, I got my notebook here. And as soon as this over, which I'm already scribbling a little, but
And
I'm definitely
it'll
gonna
be
be
on YouTube.
right.
It'll be on YouTube. You can watch it over and over again. But we still have some time. So what other questions? Do you have any other questions? Anything that can help you really move forward? Because I really want you to be able to have actionable things to move you forward.
Sure. I noticed some speakers they run ads on social media to market themselves as a speaker. Is that something you recommend or
Okay,
not?
so I'm not an ads guru, but I will tell you what I know about ads, and I am going to answer your question also about the key assets because I forgot to answer that question. Ads is a whole thing, right? When you see people running ads, they're running ads based on content that they already know works. So what
Hmm.
I made the mistake, and because nobody was really teaching me this part of it, was everybody's like, oh, run ads, run ads. Well, first of all, ads are very expensive. They
Hmm.
are very expensive because you have to do them well, you have to test them, you have to do all the
Yeah.
things.
Yeah.
But people say to you, oh, run an ad. Well, if you don't know how to target, you don't know how to retarget, you don't know what type of ad you're supposed to be getting, you don't know how to understand all the different click through this thing,
Yeah.
you're going to be in trouble, right? And what happens is people are like, I'm going to run ads, I'm going to run ads. However, your organic marketing, if that's not working, the ad's not going to work, right?
Hmm.
So what people, when you see people doing that, and some of those people that we see doing those ads, they got tons and tons and tons of money. They got
Yeah.
money to burn,
Goof
right?
off.
Right. So they
Yeah.
can test, and they also have teams, and they have ad people who are doing their creatives and helping them do all that stuff. Somebody like you who's like in the beginning stages, I would say no to ads and really work on your organic marketing. So your
Okay.
daily posting, you trying to, get
Mhm.
leads and engage people around that.
Yeah.
And then when you get to the point that you can really and truly afford the ads and understand how to properly run an ad, I would worry about that then. But for right now, I would tell you to just work on your organic marketing.
Okay.
All
Yeah, it
right.
makes sense.
Yeah.
It makes sense.
I know it seems like,
'Cause
ooh, but
yeah, because
run an ad.
I wonder how effective they are now.
They
Like
are
when I
effective.
run,
They are effective, but because they have all of the data and all of the structure behind it. So if
yeah,
you have the money and you have the data and you have the team, oh, they're very effective.
okay,
But if you don't, then no, it's a waste of
yeah,
money.
yeah. Because like the times I have ran ads, it's been more for the bit like my business, not for me as a speaker.
Hmm. Yeah.
Where I may want to add, oh, this book is on sale, and you get increased sales and stuff, but I really haven't niched down with event planners and organizers to know like who I should be speaking to in an ad. So yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah. And what you'll see is a lot of generally you don't see, well, I haven't. So I'll just say I haven't really seen speakers doing ads for them as speakers, right? Like to hire them as
Yeah.
keynotes. They're doing ads more around the other parts of their business, right? Whatever other revenue stream that they have. So if you've seen them,
Okay.
otherwise I have not. But what I have seen is them doing like for coaching, for master
Yeah.
classes, for retreats, like the other parts of their business, because speaking, like marketing yourself as a speaker, one, you got to know who you're speaking to, right? So there's a paying audience and a consuming audience. So you have to know that. And then you have to know where the paying audience is. And so you have to be marketing where they are. right? And so that's the important part of it. Again, that's the positioning. That's really understanding your positioning and understanding who are your prospects and where do you pitch to them,
Mm-hmm.
right? So it's not necessarily ads, right? Event planners and stuff are not necessarily, they're not looking at ads, they're on LinkedIn,
Yeah.
right? They're over there on LinkedIn. It's free over there, right?
And you already answered my next question.
What was
Now, LinkedIn, I guess the last quarter of 23, um, I've been active on LinkedIn. However, I've become more tuned in to LinkedIn as a speaker. And honestly, before I even did that, there's been times God has blessed me to literally go in my inbox and already have an invite to speak, just based on my LinkedIn profile.
yeah.
And so as I move forward in positioning, would you recommend on LinkedIn or where I would start having conversations more to where I'm not um just waiting to hear from whoever reach out to me like, oh, we would love to have you as a speaker, or should I be proactive and start those conversations?
So if you're a speaker and you're not on LinkedIn, I don't know what you're doing. That's the first thing. And yes, you need to show up on LinkedIn because that's where people are and they will. And
Mm-hmm.
here's the thing too. We're used to a lot of people saying, "Oh, how many likes did you get? How many this? How many people were in your comments? Whatever." A lot of decision makers will never, ever, ever comment or like anything. It doesn't mean that they're not watching. So your job on LinkedIn is one, to really optimize your profile.
Yeah.
Two is to get very active on the profile. So on the platform, right? Building your digital footprint. And
Mm-hmm.
three, to be engaging and connecting and engaging with the people who can hire you, who can refer you, right? But if that, it's a marketing tool, right? So if you're a speaker, the people who hire speakers are on LinkedIn. They're on Facebook and other platforms too, but they're really on LinkedIn. So yes, you need to be on LinkedIn. So the other thing you were saying, like the key assets, right? So what we know is that if you say to somebody, hey, I do this or hire me or whatever, what are they going to do? They're going to go Google you, right? So
Mm-hmm.
first things first, we got to make sure that your branding is on point, that it is in alignment, that it is consistent across platforms, or they're going to look for you. That if you say that you're a speaker, then if I Google you, I should see something about you being a speak, or at least content around the topic that you say that you speak about. If you're going to be asking me for high four and five figures, then I should be able to look at your content. I should be able to look at everything and make that connection, right? That okay, this person has the value of that, right? Not
Yeah.
me sitting there like eating KFC or whatever. Sorry, KFC. Or whatever, right? There should be, not saying you shouldn't have personal things on there, but people should be able to look on your profile and say, okay, all right, this person has the authority. This person is who they say they are, at least what they said to me. I can go look. Now I'm going to have a conversation, right? Because that's your billboards. These are your marketing
Mm-hmm.
assets. The other thing that you should have is obviously good photos, right? You
Mm-hmm.
can have a one sheet. Some people ask for them. I don't think anyone's ever asked me for a one sheet, but your one sheet has your photo, your bio, your signature talks, if you have any books, just
Yeah.
a one sheet basically resume, right? Of who
Yeah.
you are as a
Mm-hmm.
speaker. So that's an asset to have. people are going to ask for if they want you to speak, they're going to ask for your bio, or they might ask for an introduction. Bios and introductions are different. So that, you would want to have those. With the advent of ChatGPT, that can help you create those easily. A website. Now, you don't necessarily have to have a full-blown multiple page website if you're just starting out. When I just was starting as making the transition from full-time lawyer to full-time entrepreneur, and I was thinking about becoming a speaker, my first website was a landing page, right? So just a long landing page. If you have videos of you speaking, they're going to want that, right? People want to have seen you speak. Doesn't necessarily mean that you were speaking on the specific topic that they're going to hire you for, but they want to be able to see you speak. So if you have video snippets, make sure that those snippets are somewhere, either on your website or there's, on a YouTube where you can give them a link or something. So those are really the types of things that you need on the front end. Now on the back end, especially if you're talking to corporations, there's all kinds of other stuff that you need, but on the front facing end of it, those are things that you need.
Okay. Well, I got it. I got a website, got a speaker bio, got a one sheet. So yeah.
See?
Sizzle reel, so they can hear me speak at other places. So okay.
Awesome. Well, this has been awesome.
Yeah.
I love answering questions. So this is fun. Did you let me know, like, did I answer your questions? Is there anything before we end today? Like, is there anything that you need clarification around, or, how do you feel? Like, how was this for you?
I feel for me it was confirmation because I'm a solopreneur. I have contractors who do some things for me, but as far as like in my business, I'm full time. Been full time for wow since 2020. It's hard to believe. So I've been full time for a little bit, and I think sometimes um, I feel the corporate part of me, because I worked in corporate so long before I became an entrepreneur. And when I worked in corporate America, I was really great as a gerontologist, just kick butt. But I always had like a perfectionist complex. And a little bit of that has carried over as an entrepreneur. So, um, through our conversation, I realized I'm more prepared than what I thought I was. And I feel the thing that I need to focus on is pitching,
Mhm.
being a little more proactive about that. And then just the positioning aspect, and then just ensuring that across the board that everything aligns.
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, I'm proud of you because I've been watching you. Like you said, 2020 is when I started full time as an entrepreneur also. And I'm really on a mission to ensure that women who want to be in this business are positioned properly, that they understand the business of speaking, because that's where we're falling short. And there's money to be made. And so I'm very excited for you. I hope that I have given you some momentum and given you some clarity, right? So that you can move forward, that you can go get your money, because there's lots of it out there to be made. And for anyone who is watching this, if you think I need to be on the Mentor Me Kelly show, then drop a comment. Drop a comment and we'll see if you're a good fit for us to, just share some time with you so that I can share my thoughts and my wisdom. My goal again is really to move women forward and to ensure that people understand that we are brilliant and that we deserve to be paid for our brilliance. But first, I have to make sure that you understand that you're brilliant and that you deserve to be paid for your brilliance. It starts with us. So in Speaker Moguls, our mission is to affirm, amplify, and elevate the voices of women experts. And that's what I will be doing. You come hang out with us in our Speaker Moguls Facebook group. And if you want to get on our email list, there will be a link below. And oh, you know what I'm going to drop in the link? And Cassandra, you'll be able to get this too. I'm going to give you all a gift. And the gift is going to be my LinkedIn profile optimization black print. So I tell you how to optimize your LinkedIn profile. So that will all be in the show notes. Just go down there and click the link and you'll be able to get access to that. And until next time, y'all take care and let's go get your money.